Namaste. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about breaking up. We live in this world where not everyone who starts off with us will always remain with us, and we will go through breakups in our life, whether they are with friendships, partners, jobs. And it's a question of why does it happen and how do we get through it? So first, let's start with an analogy that a really good yogic friend of mine gave me, was that we are just a train. So imagine when you go on holiday, you get on a train and you have a journey, you're going from point A to Z. And on that, people get on the train, you meet with them, you connect, you swap stories, you have a moment, then they get off. Then other people get on and maybe stay the whole way with you. But there's always people getting on and off your train. Let's just say you are the train. And that people get on, get off. But every time someone gets on, you don't sit there and go, you know what? You're black, you're white, I don't like your color, I don't like your energy, so get off my train. We don't do that, do we? Or when they get off the train, we don't sit there and scream and shout and say, I want half your luggage, I want this, I want that, before you kick them off the train. No. When you're on that journey, people jump on, you say namaste, you say hello, no matter what they look like, what clothes they're wearing. And when they leave, you say namaste, thank you very much. And hopefully, in all of that, whoever jumped on and off, you learned a little bit more from them. Maybe you gave them something that they needed, that's why they got on your train. Maybe they gave you something that you needed, which is why they got on the train. Or maybe there was some exchange from both of you. So when you left the train, both of you were just elevated a little higher. So now, having said that, try and think of every relationship as clothing. So you meet someone, you like them, you become connected to them because they're wearing the same clothing as you. When I say clothing, think of every single piece of clothing an attachment you have to an idea. So this shirt is an attachment to an idea that I'm always right. These shorts are an attachment to an idea that I'm entitled to an opinion to be able to say whatever I want. This bra is an attachment to a certain god, a certain religion. They're all attachments. So think of every piece of clothing you put on, because we choose our clothing. And that in itself is an attachment to a certain kind of clothing, which we think represents us. So now you meet someone and you always choose someone that's wearing something similar to you or is connected to you in the way you look. But mostly, let's just think of it as they're wearing the same sort of clothes as you. But let's say one of you continues on a journey, a yogic journey, a spiritual journey, a religious journey, and you start to change. And as you start to change, your clothing starts to change. So you take off the ones you were wearing and you put new ones on. Maybe in these new clothing, this shirt is now me saying, you know what? I need to set boundaries. I no longer want to accept when someone wants to scream at me or be negative with me or talk to me in a certain way. I used to wear those clothes, but actually as I've moved to another level of awareness, I realized that that affects me, and I'm going to put on a shirt of boundaries. I'm going to put on a shirt of meditation. But we're changing, and our clothes are changing. And often what happens is when one of our clothing changes because we're ascending or we're moving to a different level or something is changing within us, the people who are used to wear all the same clothing as us, many of them will struggle to see us. Many of them don't even want to see us. Because why? Because in order for them to see your clothing and accept the difference, they have to then look at themselves. Because if we're in a group and we're all wearing the same clothing, we're all wearing the same color, we all think the same thing, we're a pack. And it now reinforces and justifies us. So even when we do things that maybe at the bottom of us niggle us and say, that's not really a good thing, the pack is doing it. So it's got to be right. And it just keeps reinforcing us. But the minute someone enters that is wearing something different, if that difference makes us feel uncomfortable, we start to judge and slander this one. Because it's easier to judge and slander this one than it is to actually look at ourselves and go, you know what? Now I have to look at this shirt and these shorts, and maybe that's really not a good way to be, or maybe that's the cause of my suffering, or all of a sudden I have to look at my clothing. But to observe my clothing, I also have to observe who's wearing that clothing. And a lot of people aren't ready for that. So it's often while you'll find when you're going on this journey that you will start to lose relationships around you because your clothing has changed. And they don't want to see your clothing. And you know their clothing because once you wore it, but now it's different. So you can observe it and don't get angry at them. They are just who they are. And they were once a part of you because you were once them. So you cannot judge it. You cannot be angry at it. All you can try and say is namaste. Thank you. Thank you for all that you gave me. Because when you wore their same clothing and you started to ascend, those people contributed to your ascension. Because they are the ones that forced you to look at yourself in your clothing and you're around and say, actually, you know what? I want to go a little higher. So thank you so much for being in my life, because had you not entered, had I not been part of that pack, I wouldn't have come here. And the person who leaves, the person who's left behind, who's no longer a part of you, that person, if they don't want to see your clothing, it's okay. But you should be able to also say namaste. Thank you. You're on a different journey to me now, and I wish you the best of luck, and I wish you great happiness, and let's just separate in a healthy way. Too often these days, I'm finding that I'm meeting people that are in really unhealthy divorces, that are separating in horrible ways, where there's so much blame and anger, and a lot of the basis of that is money, once again, because we've attached our value to money. Let it all go. Try and learn to separate, to move out of relationships from a place of kindness. Because when you don't, when you end relationships in really tumultuous, horrible ways, it leaves an imprint on your energy and it leaves an imprint on their energy. And then as you move in separate directions, if within your mind you are still having negative, horrible thoughts about each other, you're still affecting yourself and you're still affecting the other. Why? Why can't we just all live like we are a train? When someone comes on, don't look at the clothes that they're wearing, the color of their skin, their behavior. Look at the divine in them. Know that they are a consciousness as well that is connected to yours. And just experience them. No matter what they're like, experience them. Even if they get on the plane or the train and they're angry and they're shouting and they're like, "Arr!" Experience that. And as you're experiencing it, instead of getting entangled in it, observe yourself and go, what is this guy's negativity making me feel? What is it bringing up in me? Why do I want to shout at him, scream at him? Why am I letting him do that to me? Because when he does that to you, you're allowing him to do that. Why are you allowing it? Use all those opportunities as an opportunity for you to observe yourself, to see how you react to it or how you respond to it, what comes up in your mind, what is in there. Acknowledge it, know that maybe something in there needs to shift, and then move on. Because what everything is an experience. And every experience is a learning opportunity for you to observe you. So don't judge, don't slander, don't care what they're wearing. Just experience. That's what we mean when we say go through life experiencing, but don't entangle yourself into it. Don't become so embroiled into it that it drives you crazy and affects you. And then you keep holding on to the experience. So you meet someone that's negative 4 days later. When you meet people, you're still like, oh my God, I met a guy 4 days ago. He was like this. You're still holding on to the experience. You're still allowing it to affect you. Let go of the experience. Hold on to the lesson that you learned about yourself. A little bit more about your judgments, your bigotries, your racist thoughts, because we all have them, because it's being put in us. Unless you don't watch TV, don't read books, don't interact, don't live in the world, live in a cave, at some point, that's inside of you. All of us, even in me. So, less and less so, thank God. Yeah, just remember, you're on a train, on a journey. Someone drives you nuts, just experience it. Experience it from within you to learn a little bit more about you. Don't worry so much about them. They'll get there, or they won't. Hopefully they will. Namaste. Have a beautiful day.